Afternoon. Our next speaker is Alp, and his talk is on designing a functional document processor. Fun fact, he likes to collect mugs from all over the world.
Okay, let's start then. Hi everyone, my name is Alp, and welcome to my talk on designing a functional document processor, or as I like to call it, what is a document and what the hell do I do with it? So let's start with premises that I have as basis to the concepts and thesis I'm presenting in the talk. The first one is I believe that in a lot of the documents around us, there are some common substructures, some patterns, some constants that we can see in a repetitive manner within these documents. And we are, in my opinion, bad at exploiting those substructures in our document editing and document creation process. And what I'm trying to do is basically, I'm trying to exploit them. I'm trying to create a document editing experience that's going to allow you to use those substructures to your advantage. I'm at the very beginning, and this talk is about getting somebody to help me with it. So let's start from the basics and talk about what a document is. And one very simple definition that we could start with would be, it could be a sequence of letters arbitrarily placed on a two-dimensional space. But that would be quite wrong, right? There is nothing arbitrary about how and what we place on a document. So the model that I like to think of is a document is a projection of abstract concepts placed on a two-dimensional plane in where some visual structure conveys the relations between the concepts that you're trying to tell the user, tell the reader. So what kind of relations do these visual structures provide us with, right? And the first one is, of course, sequencing. A word is a sequence of letters, a sentence is a sequence of words, a paragraph is a sequence of sentences. The second one is grouping, right? Even without the box I just added, you were able to see different groups of items within this page. But the box makes it even more explicit. And the third one is hierarchy. Using the layout of the page or some font sizes or some font weight, we can convey structure, we can convey hierarchy between different items on a document, on a page. So that is a document. How do we create documents? How do we interact with them? And I like to think of this creation as I said, basically, you have a set of concepts. You want to put them onto a 2D plane somehow in a way that's going to be meaningful. And one way to do that is to use word processors such as the Microsoft Word or Google Docs, or canvas editors such as Canva, Excalibur, TLDraw, markup languages such as Markdown, LaTeX, Typist. And there is also the weird stuff that I am not going to categorize for now. So I have roughly 4 categories here. Where do they come from? How did I come up with them? And the way I categorize these different types of document processing modes, document processors, is by dividing them into camps based on how you edit documents with them. It's what I call an editing mode. And an edit basically here in this model is you have a document, you apply some action on it, you get another document back. So in a what you see is what you get editor, there are 2 major editing modes. The first one is cursor-based editing, where you know where the cursor is. And when you press a key, you have some expectation on the next state of the document. And the second one is selection-based editing, where you pick an element on a page and you usually drag it, or you double-click, whatever. You have some action based on that selection. And it's important to note that these editing modes are not really exclusionary. Every document system has multiple of these things that interact with each other in different ways. So the second editing mode that I will talk about is markup editing. If you have a markup document, how do we edit that? So here, it's a bit different from the what you see is what you get ones, because now you have two parts of the document. First, you have the front end, which is the markup language itself, and then you have the back end, which is what the markup language gets rendered into, right? And what happens is the user uses a markup editor to edit the front end, to edit the markup language itself, content, and a compiler takes that markup and turns it into a document in our conventional sense. And there's a big difference in the front end and the back end, which is at the beginning I said the visual structure conveys relations within the document, right? So that relations are implicitly conveyed in the document that we see. But in a markup language, like when you look at the markup content, you have to have those relations explicitly, because the visual structure cannot really help you in a lot of cases. It is limiting by definition, by design. So I think going from what you see is what you get to the markup and having this explicitness in the relation is important. So a third form of editing that I haven't talked up until now is form editing. And form editing is very simple, and I think it's very powerful, in which you get a form, and based on that form, you have a template that you want to fill with the answers from the form. I imagine most people from the US filed their taxes last month. That's what you did, right? So I answer, and from the template, I get a document at the end, right? So what happened? What changed from the template to the document? And what changed from my point of view is that the template is a partial document. It's a document with some holes in it. And when you fill those holes, when you have a full document, when you have a total document, then it becomes a document. And so why am I talking about this here, right? Why is form editing important? The reason I think it's important is we started this whole debate because we wanted to create some documents, right? We want to convey some concepts into on a 2D plane. And we want to do this by editing the document step by step. So conventionally, and what you see on any document is you're going to have some interleaving, interspersed layout and data with each other. That's what the meaning of visual structure conveying information about the relation is. That's by design. But I think what templates and form-based editing gives you is it gives you a way to separate them, but you don't get the separation from an existing document. What happens is you can get some layout from some layout separately, and you can ask for the user some data to fill that layout in, that template, that partial document, and you can create your total document at the end using those. So a naive template that doesn't have any nesting is not really useful for us. We wouldn't be able to use it in a lot of cases. So one thing that we see a lot in practice is partial documents with partial documents inside, right? Like nested templates. So here's my CV, in case anybody wants to hire me after the talk. I'm going to step by step abstract this document by identifying common substructures in it, and I'm going to turn that into a tree. That represents the nested structure of the document. So at first we abstracted away the school names, the years, the company names, and all that. And in second, we can abstract each element, each item in a section. Then we can abstract the section itself. And at the end, we actually get this tree-like structure. right? So how would we interact with this structure? We know how to interact with with a markup, with a markup language, right? Like we press something in and the output changes. How would we update this tree? What is so powerful about this is when you want to edit a form, like a form-based editor, a form-based document, you select a subset of it, a subtree within your document, and then you focus on it. So you go inside the document, and you can forget about the rest, right? You only look at what you want to show. So that was form-based editing. And now I'm going to present you with a framework on the type, based on the types of document editors that I've talked so far. And that framework has talks about 3 different types of document editors. The first one is, as I said, the markup languages. The second one is form-based editors. And the third one is the what you see is what you get, right? So in my point of view, what you see is what you get editors can't give you is templates, or what they're not giving you, can't. When you look at the current trend of what you see is what you get editors, you see very little templating, and that templating usually doesn't compose. What form-based editors of the current, what the current form-based editors like is flexibility. Usually they are focused on a fixed data schema that you can only use a given schema. You can't change anything, you can't add anything, or if you have an escape hatch, that's very limited. And what the markup languages this is my opinion, I don't think they're very convenient to work with. So what about the weird stuff that I mentioned, right? Aren't there any cross-paradigm editors? Are all editors stuck in one of these 3 categories? Of course not, right? When you look at Obsidian MD, you can see that it moves between being a markup language to being a what you see is what you get, and back and forth. You can fluidly go back and between those things. Or in Notion, you have these multi-view tables. Even though Notion is normally, I would categorize it as a what you see is what you get editor. With the tables, you can actually get templating, right? You can have different views of a table. And recently, Google Docs also added template variables. You can put holes in your documents, and you can fill those values from a key value store. And I think it's important to put web frameworks also in this discussion, because stuff like JSX, Tinja, templating engines, all of these things are very powerful. And if you think about a website like a document, and every action you perform as an action, you can actually imagine every website being an editor in a very domain-specific closed sense. So what I have worked on for the past year is a different new cross-paradigm editor called Tail. It's a typed and structured document editor. And what can it do, right? So in Tail, you get 2 fundamental schemas that you play with. The first one is a data schema. It allows you to define contents of a section inside the document, and you can type, you can give types to those contents, and it allows you to define layout schemas. And a layout schema is basically, it tells the document processor how to place the contents of a data, of a data schema, right? So what we can right now do, what I can right now do with Tail is, given some layout schemas, I can generate a form-based editor for you in which you fill the form and the document gets updated according to the layouts. So you can, as I said, you can create document templates. Given a template, you can derive an editor for it. And given an editor, you can create a document format, right? So let's do a short demo now to show what it looks like right now. I would like to just point out that this is a very researchy prototype. It has a lot of problems, but just to show you like what it can do. So here you see the document at the right, and here you see two sections, and inside the sections you have these contents, and when you edit something, it gets updated on the other side. But what's more fascinating is, I think, you can do this in a lot of things, right? It's nothing novel. But when you change the data schema, change the layout schema, you can move between different representations of the same data without touching the data itself. And how you do this is, here, there is this small thing called does it show? Yeah, okay. So this is a layout editor, and in the layout editor, you can modify the layout, and you can instantly see the change. So that's basically it right now. It doesn't have a lot, the UI doesn't have a lot of features. There is a fully written renderer behind based on the data model. I'm working on getting the UI up to speed to make sure that you can create all types of layouts that the backend, the renderer, can actually handle. So going back to the presentation, you saw what already exists, and let's talk about what I want to do next. The first is, right now the template system that you have seen is very naive. It's it cannot do nested templates. So I think in a practical sense, it's not very useful. But there is a work in progress that I actually sent an extended abstract to Popple last year, and it was accepted, that tries to define a model for defining recursively nested templates that I'm continuing to I'm still working on. The next thing I want to do is, this is using some proprietary a data model that I designed. Can we apply the same techniques to JSX or LaTeX? Can we get a LaTeX document, and can we just scrape the templating capabilities in that document? And can we generate a form to fill it out automatically? And the next thing is, this is a one-man show for now. I've been working on this all by myself. If any one of you is interested in helping with this, anyone contributing to this, maintaining it, whatever, if you like templates and structured documents, then I think you would have a lot of fun with it. We would have a lot of fun with it. So here I have the demo web page on the left, the paper, the abstract on the middle, and the GitHub to the GitHub repository to the project on the right. And if you want to reach me, you can reach me over email or Twitter if you want. And that is me. We can go to Q&A. Thank you so much.
So you mentioned that one downside of existing form editors is that they lack flexibility. So how will you get more flexibility with Tail?
So what they do is, they are usually they work on one large template system that they design that you cannot modify, and that's specifically because they don't give you access to it, right? That data model that current form-based editing systems has, it's usually proprietary. You can see it, but with Tail, because the data model itself is it's exposed to the user, as you have two planes now. You can modify templates, or you can create a document with them. So none of the current form-based editing systems, as far as I know, and I looked a lot, they don't allow you to create your own templates. That's what that's what Tail is trying to do.
Cool. So I wonder if there could be room for having a marketplace kind of thing where someone can publish a template, and then you can fork it and edit it and then get your tweak it the way you want. So anyway. That's
very much what I had in mind.
Nice.
Imagine you could have different CV editors, an editor marketplace. Yeah. Cool.
Cool talk. Thank you. So I'm thinking this is a programming conference. So do you think you could add some kind of scripting in this system so that at some point, you will eventually want to script something about it?
So one thing that I haven't mentioned here because it's very in its infancy is I talked about layout schemas, right? What they do is they take the data and they are a function from a given data to some layout, right? And you could easily imagine that transformation could also include some content transformation too. There's no reason you couldn't do it. And that's something I have in mind. I think that's orthogonal to what I've been doing so far. It's a different type of transformation that we should be able to add.
Okay.
And I think that's that's a pretty good capability. I definitely want to have that.
Makes sense. Thank you.